When Africa became independent in 1960, they had one big question. But in Africa, many of the borders looked like something they used ruler to draw. No African leader was invited.
The question is, should these borders ever be redrawn to reflect Africa's true history, or has the damage already been done?
Hello guys, what's up? It's your boy Poncho Cross. You are welcome to my channel. Please don't forget to share this video. And I have one question for you. Have you looked at the African map? Do you see something strange? Many of the borders are very straight. Some are perfectly horizontal. Some are vertical. In other parts of the world, borders follow river and also mountain. But in Africa, many of the borders look like something they use ruler to draw. Today, let's talk about how African borders look so strange.
Because in 1884-85, Europeans sat at a table in Berlin, Germany, not a single African there, and carved up Africa into the territories that we now sometimes call countries and illogically refer to as nations. Africans didn't do that. It was Europe that did that. It was Europe and imperialism that required Africa to be so that the resources of Africa, both human and material, could come and pave the streets in London and grow the buildings in Amsterdam and bring clean water to New York, while the streets in Sierra Leone are not paved and the people in Sierra Leone do not have clean water. There's no national electric grid there. It is necessary to keep Africa divided by European imperialism.
In 1884, leaders from countries like the United Kingdom, France, and Germany meet in a city called Belgium. They wanted African good, land, and also resources. They did not want to fight each other, so they decided to divide the African among themselves. But here is the shocking part. No African leader was invited. They sat in a room in Europe and draw a line on the map of Africa. They did not care about the people living there. They only care about control and the resources they will get.
How did a meeting in Europe reshape Africa's borders forever? Well, between 1884 and 1885, European powers gathered at the Berlin Conference for the Scramble for Africa, dividing the continent among themselves. At the time, Africa wasn't divided into today's nations, but was home to many kingdoms and tribes, each with their own territories and cultures. Countries like Nigeria, Kenya, and Rwanda were created with borders that forced rival ethnic groups to coexist, leading to long-term conflicts. For example, in Rwanda, the artificial borders contributed to ethnic tensions between the Hutu and Tutsi, culminating in the 1994 genocide that claimed the lives of almost 1 million people in just 100 days. Meanwhile, the Somali people were split between Somalia, Ethiopia, and Kenya, creating a divided identity and fueling conflict.
Because these borders were drawn carelessly, two big problems happened. Problem one, families were split. Some ethnic groups were divided into different countries. One family could suddenly be living in two different nations. They did not move. The border moved around them.
Did you know a single straight line drawn by Europeans literally carved up Africa, splitting cultures, tribes, and families apart? In the late 1800s, European powers sat down at the Berlin Conference and, without ever setting foot in most of Africa, drew borders with rulers and pens. One of the most striking examples is the straight line between Egypt and Sudan, known as the 22nd parallel. But it wasn't just here. Across the continent, countless borders were drawn straight through villages, ethnic groups, and even natural landscapes, ignoring thousands of years of African history. These lines still shape Africa today, causing border disputes, cultural splits, and even conflicts. Colonial borders may look neat and simple on a map, but for the people living there, they cut much deeper. Families were divided across countries, trade routes were broken, and entire communities were forced under governments they had no connection to. Even today, many conflicts in Africa trace back to these artificial lines drawn over a century ago.
Typical example like the Hausa. You see, we have Hausa in Ghana and we have some in Nigeria and even, I think, some in Togo. Some group that did not get along were forced to live in the same country. It was like putting two enemies in the same small room and telling them to live together forever. This caused tension, conflict, and also war. When Africa became independent in 1960, they had one big question.
The question is, should these borders ever be redrawn to reflect Africa's true history, or has the damage already been done?
Should we redraw the borders? But they were afraid if they start changing the borders, it could cause many wars across Africa. So they made one strong decision. They kept the old border to avoid bigger problems. African borders tells a painful stories, but today African countries are working together. They are trying to trade more, travel more, and also unite more. They are trying to fix with unity what was broken in the past. African story is unfinished. The future is still being written. What do you think? Should the borders still be the same or should we change the borders? I think for me, I think the borders should be the same. But what we should do is we should make an Africa a borderless country or a borderless continent so that Ghana can travel, someone from Ghana can travel to any part of African country he wish without visa. The same way apply to all African countries so that African can move freely in Africa without visa restriction or whatever. And Wademaya has been pushing for this thing long time ago.
You won't believe what I'm about to tell you, but this is my story, and it's a true story. I have been detained in an African country. I don't know whether to laugh, smile, or cry, or feel, angry, because I've been denied entry into Mozambique. I have been deported in an African country, not just once, but twice. And the worst one that ever happened to me was the brawl that I had with immigration officers at the Togo-Ghana border. This is insane because I still can't believe that in 21st century, Africans have to go through a great struggle in order to go see their fellow brothers and sisters living in another African country.
To visit a fellow African within the African Union, the visa restrictions in many of our nations, among us, between our brothers and sisters, is like trying to brush the teeth of a crocodile.
Togo gave me headache. I had to pay a lot of money. And I wasn't crossing the border at the Togo border alone. I felt sick at the Togolese border because we were there for hours.
When I was going to Ivory Coast, it's one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my whole life is the fact that these guys were telling me that I need to pay 10,000 francs because my passport has never been to Ivory Coast before, so I have to pay 10,000.
We do need to talk about these things. Like you made a good fight. In Ivory Coast, I got to the border at 10 a.m. I wasn't allowed to leave till 7 p.m. I had no choice to drive in the dark that led to almost a fatal accident. But I shouldn't have been on the road at that time anyways. Because of the border delay, it has a ripple effect. People's life are at stake at a point. It's like ridiculous.
You had an accident?
I did. A really bad one.
It's super crazy knowing that stuff like that are happening at our various borders and our various leaders are quiet. Can you share your African border experience with me in the comment section or any of your social media platform, and make sure you tag me because I am going to be there to read it. I mean, it's about time for Africa to be borderless. It's about time to allow free movement of Africans within Africa. Can you like this video now? Thank you. And most importantly, click on the share button. And if you can, tag your president in this video. Or if you have his phone number, send it to his WhatsApp.
Open borders now! Open borders now! Open borders now! Open borders now! Open borders now!
We should rather give Africa a borderless country or borderless continent. Yeah, borderless continent. And I think that one will help. That's what I'm saying. So please, in case you want Africa to be a borderless country, make sure you share these videos. Don't only share, comment, tell me what you think about the video, and see you in the next post. We are out. Control.